Hey there. Remember that deep dive we did on aging a while back? Well, get this. We might be closer than we thought to not just living longer, but like potentially living forever.
Yeah, the idea's out there for sure.
No, seriously. We're diving into the possibility of actual immortality this time. And trust me, it's way more fact than fiction these days. We've got articles, podcasts, even a whole book dedicated to this mind-blowing concept.
It's called longevity escape velocity, basically like flooring it past aging with medical breakthroughs.
So instead of just tacking on a few extra years, we're talking about hitting a point where we're constantly like one step ahead of aging itself.
Precisely. Picture a future where we're constantly reversing that age-related damage, extending our healthy lifespans, basically breaking free of those biological limits of aging, as we know it at least.
That's wild to think about. So are we talking like biologically immortal humans then? What sort of timeline are we looking at for something like that?
It might be sooner than you'd think. We've got some serious minds on it. Futurists like Ray Kurzweil, the AI guy, he predicts folks in good health could be experiencing this escape velocity by the end of 2030.
Hold on, really? That's less than a decade away. Are there any other big names backing that up?
Oh, absolutely. You've got George Church. He's doing groundbreaking stuff with synthetic biology at Harvard. He figures we could hit longevity escape velocity within a generation.
Wow.
And then there's Dr. David Sinclair, another Harvard geneticist. His argument is that there's no hard limit on how long humans can live. Period.
Wait, no limit. He doesn't think our bodies just, like, wear out eventually.
He compares us to whales living for centuries, or trees for thousands of years even. Sinclair believes aging is a software problem, not hardware.
Okay, now you've got to explain that one. What's he mean by software problem?
Think of it like this. Your body, that's the hardware. Your biological processes, stuff like cell division, that's the software. Sinclair's saying if we can crack the code of those processes, theoretically, we can keep our bodies running indefinitely.
So instead of our bodies just, I don't know, giving out after a while, it's more like our biological programming is set to make us age.
Exactly. And we're getting closer to understanding that programming every day. One of the big areas of research is focused on something called telomeres.
Okay, telomeres. Those are like the little clocks ticking away inside our cells.
Right. You got it. They're like caps on the ends of our chromosomes. Every time a cell divides, those telomeres, they get a bit shorter. Eventually, they get so short the cell just stops dividing, dies off. Built-in timer, essentially.
So shorter the telomeres, closer we are to, well, kicking the bucket.
Pretty much. Now, here's the kicker. Cancer cells, they've figured out how to cheat this system.
They have. How do they do that?
They produce this enzyme called telomerase. Basically, it stops the telomeres from shortening, like hitting the reset button on that aging clock.
So they become, what, immortal?
In a way, yeah. I know what you're thinking. Can we just bottle that telomerase up and call it a day? It's not quite that simple, unfortunately.
Yeah, figures.
But what it shows us is that there are already things in nature, organisms that show this crazy longevity, even a sort of biological immortality.
Really, like what?
Ever heard of the immortal jellyfish?
Wait, is that a real thing?
It is. It can revert back to its polyp stage, like a younger version of itself, when it's stressed or injured.
Okay, now that's straight out of science fiction. So if a jellyfish can basically rewind its age like that, does that mean we could too?
That is the million-dollar question. And while we aren't quite there yet, researchers are making some mind-blowing progress in understanding how this stuff works at the cellular level.
So we're talking about potentially reprogramming our cells to, like, reverse aging.
Exactly. And a major player in that field is George Church. Yeah, remember we were talking about him earlier. His work in synthetic biology, it's really laying the groundwork for, like, directly manipulating these cellular processes. Telomeres included, even.
So we could be on the verge of actually editing the code of life itself to, like, fight aging.
It's a real possibility. And that's where this whole AI thing comes in. Artificial intelligence, it's totally changing how we understand something as complex as the human genome.
Okay, but how?
Imagine a microscope, but it's super-powered, can analyze billions of data points, pinpoint the exact genes and processes that make us age.
Like having the cheat sheet to the fountain of youth, all thanks to AI.
Kinda, yeah. AI can help researchers find drug targets, develop treatments that are personalized to your genes, even design completely new therapies. And we're not just talking about living longer, but extending that healthy lifespan, too. The years we're actually feeling good.
So it's not just quantity, it's quality, too. Living to be, what, a few hundred years old, but in good shape?
Exactly. And there's this other really fascinating area where AI is showing promise, autophagy.
Autophagy. Okay, you're going to have to break that one down for me.
Think of it like your body's built-in cleaning crew. It breaks down and recycles all that old, damaged stuff in your cells, essentially taking out the trash. Super important for keeping things running smoothly as we age.
So autophagy is like our body's natural anti-aging system then.
You got it. But here's the thing. As we get older, that process, it slows down, leads to a buildup of, well, cellular junk that contributes to those age-related diseases. But here's the exciting part. AI, it's helping us figure out how to jumpstart that process all over again.
Wait, are you saying we could have drugs that basically boost our body's cleaning crew and help us stay younger for longer?
That's the idea. We're on the edge of some really, really groundbreaking stuff here.
This is pretty mind-blowing when you really think about it. We're talking about potentially living for centuries
Mm.
in these healthy, vibrant bodies. It's like straight out of a movie or something.
Sounds pretty futuristic, doesn't it? And some experts think this is just the first step in a much bigger change. They call it transhumanism.
Transhumanism.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds even more sci-fi.
Uh-huh.
What is that exactly?
Basically, it's the idea that we can use technology to move beyond the limits of our biology, like aging, even death. Think about it. If we can mess with our biology to live longer, what's stopping us from improving our minds, even merging with AI? Maybe even uploading our consciousness.
Whoa, hold on. Uploading our consciousness.
Yeah.
Like becoming digital beings.
I know it sounds far out there right now, but that's the kind of stuff transhumanists are thinking about. It's still speculation at this point, but all this progress with AI, nanotech, biotech, it's making these crazy ideas seem more and more possible all the time.
Okay, so we're not just talking about tacking years onto our lives, but changing what it means to be human, right?
Mm.
Living in virtual worlds, making our minds better, maybe even ditching our bodies completely.
That's the gist of it. And while that's super exciting to some people, it brings up a whole bunch of moral questions, too.
No kidding. Like, what happens to who we are if we can change our minds and bodies whenever we want? What does it even mean to be human if death isn't a thing anymore?
Those are the exact questions we need to be asking as we head into this uncharted territory. And it's not just the philosophical stuff either. Think about the practical side. What happens to society when people are living for hundreds of years?
Oh man, don't even get me started. Overpopulation, resources, the whole system.
Right.
What happens to jobs when people working for centuries? I guess retirement would take on a whole new meaning.
You got it. And what about access to these technologies? Will everyone get a chance at these life-extending treatments, or will it create a whole new divide between the haves and have-nots? No easy answers to these questions, but they're conversations we got to be having, like, right now.
It's a lot to process, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's exciting to think about beating aging, reaching our full potential, all that, but it's also kind of overwhelming, the impact it could have.
I hear you. It's exhilarating and a little scary at the same time.
So with all this potential, is there anything that could throw a wrench in the gears, so to speak, and derail this whole longevity thing?
There are always challenges when you're trying to rewrite the rules of biology, right? Like, we could hit some unforeseen roadblock, or the tech might just take longer than we expect. Plus, there's the whole issue of people accepting it. Some folks might be against extending lifespan for religious or moral reasons.
Yeah, and let's not forget about the law of unintended consequences. We're talking about messing with the core of life itself. What if living longer just means more years of dealing with age-related illnesses? Or worse, what if these treatments come with a whole new set of problems?
All valid points. And it just goes to show how important it is to move forward carefully, ethically, and really understand both the amazing potential and the risks that come with it.
It's like we're standing at this crossroads in human evolution, One path leads to a future where aging is just another thing we figured out how to beat. And the other, well, who knows what's down there?
It's a future with a lot of question marks, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But even though that can be a little intimidating, it's also incredibly exciting. What we're learning right now about aging, about how we work the most basic level, it's got the potential to change everything.
It's kind of like we're back in the age of exploration, sending ships out to who knows where.
I like that analogy.
We've got a sense of what might be out there, the discoveries waiting to be made, but also those hidden dangers, right?
And just like those explorers, we can't just sail out blindly. We've got to proceed carefully, responsibly, keep asking the hard questions, looking at it from every angle.
Weighing the good with the bad, yeah.
Exactly. So as we keep going deeper into this whole life extension thing, if there's one thing you could tell our listeners to remember, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It's that the future of aging, It's not written yet. For so long, we've just accepted that we get old, we die. That's it. But that whole idea, it's changing right in front of us.
It's really remarkable the stuff scientists are doing, it feels like.
A turning point.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even a question of if we'll be able to live way longer anymore. It's more like when and how at this point. And then, of course, what we'll do with all that extra time.
The how is a big one, too. What kind of world do we want to create with this technology?
So many things to figure out.
But that's part of what makes this so fascinating. It's not just about surviving longer, it's about really living, reaching our full potential in a way we never thought possible. What could people achieve if they were healthy, active, contributing to the world for decades, maybe even centuries longer than we do now?
Instead of slowing down as we age, it'd be like this whole other chapter of growth and discovery, learning new things, going after what we love. It'd change everything.
And honestly, we've only just dipped our toes into this. There's still so much to learn and so many questions we haven't even thought to ask yet.
That's the exciting part, though, right?
Absolutely. We're pushing the boundaries of what we know about ourselves, about life itself.
It's an adventure, for sure. One that requires a healthy dose of curiosity, a little bit of skepticism, and the willingness to embrace the unknown.
Well said. So, I'll leave you with this. What would you do with the gift of more time if it became a reality?
It's a question worth thinking about.
What will you create? What will you learn?
How will you make your mark on a world where aging isn't the end of the story, but just the beginning of a whole new chapter?
Thanks for diving into this with us. Until next time.
Keep exploring.